All righty. Welcome to another edition of Joe's News and Joe's Crime Stories. Sorry. Uh thinking it's my other channel, Joe's Crime Stories. All right. Tonight we are going to be today we're going to be getting into another episode of these crime stories, going dig deep in on the documentary. If it's your first time tuning in, please do me a big favor. Go ahead on and hit the like button on the YouTube side. Also, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell all the way up top. If it's on my other platforms, like my Twitch, my D Live, my Facebook, please go ahead on hit the like button, follow me. If you're on Twitch, please participate in the $5 challenge to subscribe, support the channel, or participate in the $5 challenge right here on YouTube. Okay, which will be in the description box below, so you can participate in the $5 challenge. So, with that being said, tonight we are jumping right into this story. We are talking about Stacey Castor. Okay, that's right, Stacey Castor. This young lady right here. So, as you can see, she looks like she is just a nice, maybe comfortable looking lady. But this lady here has been known that every man that she came in contact with, well, just didn't live to see another day. So as we go and dig deep into this, I am going to do everything that I can to make sure that you guys are aware of what all happened with this story. We're going to talk about some of the behind the scenes stuff that happened that people were shocked about, and then go into what happened after this lady told everybody about what she did and how she did it. Now, please note that there is viewer discretion is advised. There is some stuff that is going to be talked about that is not going to be as, how can I put this? It's going to be a little sensitive. So if you got younger children or people that are real sensitive to that kind of stuff, it's best to go ahead on and tell your children to do yourself a favor and probably need to get out the room because it's really not for the faint at heart. But if your kids are, you feel like your kids can handle that, then that is fine as well too. So as I go up here and get this started, please note that again, if you like what I'm doing, share, and not only share the channel, but also get in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you are thinking. So enough of the extra stuff. Let's get into this crazy story. So I want y'all to understand something here. Imagine that you're with somebody, right? You met this person and they seem like they're like the most amazing person you ever met in your life. You got a connection, y'all having kids together, y'all are just like, y'all got something good going here. Like you feel there's magic in the air, but at the same time, there's a sinister plot when it comes to your life that you have no idea that is being talked about behind the scenes. Well, this is what happened in the case with Stacey Ruth Castor. Now, Stacey Ruth Castor was born on July 24th, 1967. Now, she is a convicted murderer from Weedsport, New York. Now, in 2009, is when everything came to a head that she was found guilty and everything else. Now she has been suspected of having murdered her first husband, Michael Wallace. Now, he's buried next to her second husband as well. And she has been seen on mainstream media news back in 2009 and 2008 trying to clear her name. So, let's go back to her story. Now, Stacey was the daughter of Jerry Daniels and Judy Eaton. Now, she met Michael Wallace, her first husband, when she was 17 in 1985. They bonded immediately. The couple married and they had their first daughter, Ashley, in 1988. In 1991, they had a second daughter, Bree. Now, Castor was employed by an ambulance dispatch company, while Wallace worked nights as a mechanic, but the family had little money. Now, according to Castor, Wallace was very close to Bree, showing a favoritism that Castor made up for by becoming best friends with elder daughter Ashley. Despite their closeness with their children, the couple grew apart, and it was rumored that each of them were having affairs. Now, again, this is an alleged rumor. It's never been really proven or stated true that they were stepping out on each other. But they did grow apart because of the work schedule. Now, some of the videos that was talked about this case, this lady talked about that her first husband worked a lot of hours. He was a mechanic, and they, just didn't have a lot of money. They couldn't do a lot of things that she wanted to do, like normal couples their age that were financially stable, that had that kind of children, could do. So it was a little disappointing. Now, in 1999, her first husband, Michael Wallace, began feeling intermittently ill. Family members, make sure y'all hear me. Sorry about that. All right. Family members variously remember him as acting unsteady, coughing, and seemingly swollen. As he inexplicable sickness persisted over the holiday season, his family encouraged him to seek medical care. But he died in early 2000 before he could do so. Now, on some of the reports, they said that he wasn't able to move out of bed. They said this dude was like really, really sick. Like he couldn't do anything at all. They said that he couldn't keep no food down or nothing. Like he was just really sick, and nobody never seen nothing like it. So it was very confusing because he was in a great bill of health. He was a very healthy guy who went to work every day, and all of a sudden he wakes up. You wake up one morning, the guy can't move, the guy can't do anything. So it kind of blew everybody's mind. Now, their daughter Ashley was 11 at the time and had been alone with him. She blamed herself for his death. She had noticed his ill appearance that day, but thought nothing of it. Physicians told Castor that her husband had died of a heart attack, although Wallace's sister was skeptical and requested an autopsy for Wallace. Castor refused, saying she believed the doctors were correct. That's another major red flag with families. When your loved one, is in a great bill of health, all of a sudden, this person that you grew up with and everything else is sick. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. When you asking that spouse, hey, this is my sibling here. I just want to check, make sure that it is what they say it is, and they bust out and get very offensive and be like defensive and be like, nah, I'm believing what the doctor's saying. Yeah, that is very suspect to me. Very suspect. So I'm with the family on that. Very suspect. Give me 1 second, guys. Go to the next part of this story. In 2003, Stacey married David Castor, whose surname she used for then on. Now, Castor was the owner of an air conditioning installation and repair company. Now, so basically, she done moved on to somebody that's, got a little bit more money. All before she was with the other guy that, didn't have money like that. You know, he was, they were struggling. And now since his death, she done moved up now in the world. She done got somebody who literally can, give her basically probably a lot more than her last husband could. Now, Stacey served as his office manager. In August 2005 at 2 p.m. one afternoon, Castor called her local sheriff office to tell them that her husband had locked himself in their bedroom for a day following an argument and was not responding to his cell phone when he did not appear at their shared workplace. Now, I don't know how true it was, but a lot of people said that that argument that they had that day was about money. Now, I may be wrong. I've been trying to check this out, but some people said uh, that the argument was related to he thought that she might have been taking money from the business. I don't know how true that is, but he wasn't happy with that, and he also wasn't happy with some of the disciplinary stuff that was going on with the older kids. Now, there's rumor have it that she was, she was really into trying to appease her kids. And some of these moms, they get with their kids, they do. They try to act like that, you know what I'm saying? They be trying to be their best friend. So, this could be one of those again. Let's see what's going on with this here. Let's move forward back to the story. In August 2005 at 2 okay, let me get past that. When he did not appear at their shared workplace, she had become worried. She claimed he was depressed. Unable to get a response, Sergeant Roger Willoughby of the Onod okay, I hope I don't mess this up. Onondaga County Sheriff's Department kicked in the door of the bedroom and found David Castor lying dead. Among the items near his body were a container of antifreeze and a half full glass of bright green liquid. Willoughby says he remembers that Castor screamed, "He's not dead, he's not dead." Mm. The coroner reported that David Castor had committed suicide through a self-administered lethal dose of antifreeze. But when police found Stacey Castor fingerprints on the antifreeze glass and located a turkey baster that had David Castor's DNA on the tip, they began to suspect that Stacey Castor had engineered her husband's death. They believe Castor had used the turkey baster to force feed him once he became too physically weak. You know, I don't know how she could get out of that. I know that when they went, that she always kept saying in her reports, that we didn't, I wasn't responsible for this. With my husband, blase, blase, blase. But you know, I, how can you explain a turkey baster, you know, being filled with antifreeze and liquor right there? I mean, that's a lot to try to tell somebody. I mean, I'm just being real about it. I don't know how you get out of that. Nobody's getting out of it. You're not getting out of that, man. For real, you is not getting out of that. Excuse me, you're not getting out of that. Not at all. See what else they got going on here with this case. All right. The detectives on the case ordered wiretappings on Castor House. They listened in on phone calls for any unusual conversations. In addition, they set up cameras overlooking Castor's house and the grave sites of her husband's, who has been buried side by side at Castor's request. Detectives reasoned that if Castor was truly genuine about her love for her late husbands, then she would eventually visit their graves. They wanted to observe her behavior while there. Castor, however, never visited. The investigators soon felt the only way to prove Castor responsible for both homicides was to have Wallace's body exhumed. A toxicology screening ruled that Wallace had also been killed through antifreeze poisoning. See, this is what happens with poisoners. I've noticed that during the history of time. Like they get very comfortable with their line of work. When they start feeling like they're invincible, yeah, nobody's not gonna figure this out. They get really creepy with it. They get reckless and sloppy. I've seen that a lot when it comes to people that does poisons. Even in history, it's like they get so addicted with this poisoning uh type of situation that they're like, all right, I mean, I could really do this now. I could really pull this off. In September 2007, amid mounting evidence that Castor had murdered both of her husbands, she began to panic after she learned the police had exhumed Wallace's body and found traces of antifreeze in his system. She was believed to have devised a plan to set up her daughter, Ashley, for the murders. Y'all hear this? This lady's about to set her daughter up for the murders. So her daughter is gonna be like, ain't no way my mom's like this. Ain't no way in her head. And this woman is about to really mess this girl up. You know how devastated I'd be if my mom did me like that? Come on, man. I'm up here chilling, and all of a sudden my mom was like, I think it's time to make so and so understand that this ain't gonna work out for him today. We're gonna do it my way. Wow, man, that is really crazy. Let's see how far she goes with this. So on Ashley's first day of college, investigators came to her school to question her about her father's death and to inform her that she had been poisoned. Now, let me get to that part, how that happened, because they didn't put that in there. Now, the daughter got poisoned by the following. The mom went up here and decided that they need to go out and get some drinks because of the stress that was going on with the case. So the daughter was like, all right, cool. Yeah, all right, mom, let's go get some drinks. Let's go have some drinks. So they go get liquor, whatever. They had a few drinks at the house. Sometime between that time, mom went up here and put some kind of poison in this girl's alcohol. So this girl is like really out of it. And then she's getting sick. She don't even know how that's happened. So they had to call the ambulance. So when they called the ambulance and everything and all that stuff, they were like, yo, this ain't no alcohol poisoning. We kind of think, this is the same family that had the same situation with the husband. We may think this is more to it than that. Let's go ahead on here and let's look at what's up. And that's exactly what they did. They went on ahead, they looked at what was going on, and they came to realize that the mom poisoned the daughter. So imagine that shit, man. All right, you done lost your stepdad. You done lost your daddy. You done lost your stepdad. Now your mom done tried to poison you. Okay. And not to mention the police about to tell you some more devastating news about your mama. So anyway, on Ashley's first day of college, investigators came to her school to question her about her father's death and inform her that he had been poisoned instead of having died of a heart attack. An upset Ashley called Castor. Soon after, Ashley said Castor invited her to come to the family home in Liverpool, New York, and drink together. Castor said that they had been through enough emotional stress and needed to relax. Ashley agreed because Ashley was not only her mother, but her best friend. See how that is? See how that is, man? That's crazy, bro. That's mad crazy. The following day, Castor invited Ashley to drink together at home again. She said that her mother offered her a nasty tasting drink that she at first refused, but eventually drank because she trusted her mother, Castor. 17 hours later, Ashley was found comatose on her bed by her younger sister, Bree Wallace. Bree demanded that help be sought, and Castor made a 911 call. Ashley's sister left her side for a moment, and when she returned, she found a suicide note beside Ashley. The note appeared to be Ashley's murder confession, in which she admits to having killed her father and stepfather. All right, guys, hold up. Wait a minute. Rewind. Before I go any further, thank you for joining Donnie once again. Ain't no way this girl could have killed her stepfather. Remember now, when her stepfather died, the young girl was only 11 years old. I don't know about you, but there's only like 2% to 1% in the world today. 11-year-old is smart enough to fuck with some antifreeze and start poisoning people. I'm just saying. So you already know there's some BS going on here. Wow. This lady off the glass, boy. Castor quickly took the note from the sister and later gave it to the paramedics. Tests revealed the potential fate of painkillers had been found in Ashley's system, and she most likely would have died if taking her to the hospital had been just a few minutes later. See, good Lord didn't want her to die. You know why? When Ashley woke up with police questioning her about the murders and the suicide note found beside her, she said the last thing she remembered was her mother making her an alcoholic drink, something she had never done before. She told the officers that she did not write the note and was confused about their questions and accusations. Damn. Imagine that, man. Here you are in the hospital. They telling you killed your stepdaddy, your daddy, and your stepdaddy. And you trying to recover from this mess. You like, whoa, what's going on? What happened? I don't even know how the hell I got here. Oh, man. For 2 years, investigators had collected evidence against Castor for the death of her husband. In 2007, she was arrested for second-degree murder in David's death and for attempting to murder Ashley and frame her for the murder of David and Wallace. See, she must have forgot that the police don't never forget what you do. When you try to play with evidence or stuff like that, when it comes to a murder investigation, oh, they own your ass. They know. They already got in their memory bank. They already remember you took your daughter to the hospital. Your daughter had to go to the hospital for being poisoned. They already knew all this. They were thinking like the feds on this one. Shout out to the police department on this case. Prosecutors argued that the computer-generated note where Ashley confessed to killing Wallace and David had actually been written by Castor. Ashley was 11 at the time of her father's Wallace's death. When brought on the stand, she testified she did not murder either her father or her stepfather, nor did she write the suicide note. And let me tell y'all guys something too about suicide notes. Most people don't take the time to type out a suicide note. Most of the suicide notes are going to be very personal. They'll either write it in paper, or my brother, who is a victim of suicide, he posted his suicide note on Facebook. He wanted to be personable. He wanted the family to know this is me doing this. No one else. Nobody's not going to type a letter and fold it up and print it out. No. They're going to write it handwritten. Like I said, they're going to, with social media, put it for everybody to see, or they're going to text somebody like close to them. That's what people do. I mean, nobody does that freaking print. Yeah, lady's crazy. Now, Onondaga County District Attorney William Fitzpatrick and Chief Assistant District Attorney Christine Garvey argued that David Castor's suicide had never made sense, given the lack of his fingerprints on the glass or container tainted with ethylene glycol, a toxic substance found in antifreeze, and the turkey baster found in the kitchen garbage bearing both ethylene glycol and his DNA. They felt that this suggests he was force-fed antifreeze. Given evidence of the evolution of David Castor's illness, they concluded that Castor had, for 4 days, fed her husband. Thank you for joining, man. Antifreeze through a baster before trying to make it look like a suicide. Wow. That is crazy. She has said that her husband got the idea to kill himself with antifreeze while both were watching a news report about Lynn Turner, who murdered 2 past lovers by using the poison. Well, what she didn't know is that when you use antifreeze, it is detected now. In fact, whenever you poison somebody, they look for all that stuff back in the day that people couldn't detect. You know, antifreeze, arsenic, rat, everything, all that stuff, all them poisons are all checked out. You can't poison nobody no more. It don't take long for them to get a scientist on the team to find out what you use, bro. So yeah, they've been doing that since early 2000. Well, actually, nah, since the early 90s, they have been. I wouldn't say early 90s. I say mid 90s, with the evolution of all these tests and DNA samples in science. They have been catching people poisoning. That's why you don't never hardly hear nobody poison anybody anymore, because people already know once you do a poisoning, and if that person was in a great bill of health and that family member, all it takes is one family member now to say, hey, I want an autopsy done on my brother. Even if you are married, don't matter. If they go to the police, it's a wrap. Your wife or your husband can't do nothing with that body until they do the autopsy. And that's facts. Now, the prosecutor presented evidence showing how antifreeze poisoning can be identified from the growth of calcium oxalate crystals in the kidneys, and that this was seen with the examination of Wallace and David's bodies as well. In addition, they noted money as one of the main reasons Castor murdered her husbands. She had murdered her husbands partly to collect on their life insurances and estates, and had changed David's will to exclude his son by a previous marriage from the money left to him by David. Oh yeah, I meant to tell y'all that this chick was so dirty that her last husband's oldest son, she cut him out. Cut him out the will. Don't know how, but this boy ain't got no business, no nothing. Damn, boy. That's that Black Widow stuff right there, man. You can't make this shit up. In 2005, people started to put it together. Cayuga County Sheriff David Gold said, if Mr. Wallace had been cremated or if Mr. Wallace had not died, we would have never have known we had a homicide. Having searched Castor's computer, prosecutors have found several drafts of the suicide note Ashley was accused of writing. Forensics investigators found that based on the timestamps, it had been written while Ashley was in school, proving she could have been its author. They argued that the suicide attempt had actually been a planned out murder attempt by Castor against Ashley. On the stand, Ashley retold how her mother had convinced her to drink the 2 nights before she almost died. She repeated she only drank the nasty tasting beverage because she trusted Castor. She maintained her innocence of the two murders in the writing of the note. Well, she ain't had to worry about it. I mean, look at the timestamps. You can't write something if you was at school and you wasn't at the computer. And see, you got to remember, this is before we had that cloud technology. Because, the defense could have usually used that, oh, well, there was a cloud and she wrote it at this time stamp at school and transferred the cloud to download it at that. But even with that, you still got IP addresses of the cloud, of the servers up there. So yeah, she was screwed. She wrote the letter. She was done. Castor's defense team attorney Charles Keller and Todd Smith was set on creating reasonable doubt in the jury's mind about Castor having committed the murders. They wanted to poke holes in Ashley's versions of what happened and prove she could have been incapable of murder at age 11. They noted that Ashley's father Wallace showing favoritism towards his younger daughter rather than Ashley and cited jealousy as a possible motive for Ashley having murdered at such a young age. For her stepfather, they noted his and Ashley's tumultuous relationship and how they did not get along with each other. Castor's mother believed her granddaughter, Ashley, to be guilty. In a final attempt to convince the jury she was not guilty, Castor took the stand. Man, what? Come on, Grandma. I know you love your baby, but you got to use some common sense here. It's an 11-year-old. On cross-examination, Fitzpatrick pointed out what he felt were flaws in Castor's version of that night. She maintained that it was Ashley who murdered Wallace and David. Though she could not speculate about motives beyond implying that her daughter might be mentally ill. Fitzpatrick pointed out that Ashley's mother had never sought therapy for her and that at 21, Ashley exhibited no signs of mental illness. Fitzpatrick asserted that Castor's behavior during David's, Castor's, and Ashley's illnesses made no sense, given the years she had worked for a paramedic company. She did not seek to care for Ashley for 17 hours and indicated that David Castor, who was staggering and vomiting and unable to stand, looked it okay. Likewise, he questioned how a woman who had lost two husbands to poisoning would not seek help for a daughter in Ashley's state. Fitzpatrick frequently shouted at Castor, inspiring Castor defense attorney Charles Keller to frequently object and even to request a mistrial. He probably was hollering at her because they were looking at it as, look, lady, how in the hell could you do this to your daughter and act like that everything is peachy? Like, this is some sick stuff going on here, And not to mention, too, there's another thing that really disturbed me so far about this case. Like, when they said that she was a paramedic. Come on, you was a paramedic all those years, and you mean to tell me that you couldn't spot that they needed medical care? Your husband is staggering, vomiting. He's okay. Your daughter is 17 hours sick. Come on. Me and my wife, especially me, if my child's sick the first hour and it looks crazy, we're going to the hospital. We're not sitting there trying to figure it out. But I forgot. You were trying to murder her. Prosecutors brought up another piece of damning evidence against Castor when they cited having heard typing sounds. While Castor was on the phone during one of the wiretap recordings presented, typing sounds can be heard while Castor talks to a friend. Though Castor denied memory of using the computer that day, prosecutors argued the typing sounds were those of one of the several drafts Castor had written of the suicide note. Ashley had already testified to having witnessed her mother working on the computer on something she had hidden to prevent Ashley seeing it. Castor claimed this was the day Castor wrote the note, which had Castor fingerprints but not Ashley's, to frame her daughter. He told the jury about the word antifreeze being written as antifree in 4 places within the note, and noted that Castor had also said antifree during an interview. Castor said she had cut herself off while saying antifreeze because she had intended to say something else. Castor's defense team presented a pharmaceutical expert in an attempt to cast doubt on the prosecution claim that Castor had drugged Ashley 17 hours prior to being taken to the hospital. Professor Francis Jingo uh, testified that after analyzing the traces of drugs and alcohol found in blood drawn from Ashley at the hospital, Ashley would have had to ingest the alcohol, Ritalin, and several other drugs just several hours before she was hospitalized. Thank you for joining the broadcast, man. If it's your first time tuning in, go ahead on and follow me on TikTok and also to go to Joel Davis Media Network or Joel's Crime Stories. On February the 5th, 2009, Castor was found guilty of second-degree murder in the poisoning death of David and attempted second-degree murder for overdosing her daughter Ashley with drugs and vodka. With a jam-packed courtroom who were focused on Castor, she, however, had her eyes closed as the verdict was read. Her lead defense counsel, Keller, announced that Castor would appeal the verdict, including challenging the inclusion of evidence regarding the death of her first husband, for which Castor had not been charged. On March 5th, 2009, at Castor's sentencing, Chief Assistant District Attorney Christine Garvey asked Fahey to impose the maximum consecutive sentences because of the brutality of David's death. Further, she criticized how Castor had partied in her backyard with friends like nothing was happening as Ashley was comatose in her room. She is cold, calculating, and without any emotion for what she has done. She stated, "Human life is sacred. Stacey Castor places no value on human life, not even her own flesh and blood. To Stacey Castor, human beings are disposable." David's son, whom Castor had cheated out of his will, pleaded with Judge Fahey for Castor to be severely punished. "Your Honor, Castor is a monster and a threat to society," he said. "She has created so much pain and death." Give me 1 second here. I don't know what that is. "So much pain and death in the families of those she has hurt." Judge Fahey told Castor that he had never seen a parent attempt to murder their child in order to set their child up for a crime they themselves committed, and declared Castor in class all by herself. He sentenced her to the maximum of 25 years to life for the murder of David Castor, and another 25 years for the attempt to kill Ashley. For forging David's will, he ordered Castor to serve additional 1 1/3 to 4 years in prison. The trial had lasted for 4 weeks. An emotional Ashley told the judge she hated her mother for ruining so many people's lives, but still loved her for the bond she originally had with her. Man, that's a sad situation, man. To understand your mom's a killer, tried to kill you to frame you for her own murder, for murders that she committed. Damn, that's some love there. I never knew what hate was until now. Even though I do hate her, I still love her at the same time. That bothers me. It is so confusing. How can you hate someone and love them at the same time? I just wish that she would say sorry for everything she did, including all the lies. As horrible as it makes me feel, this is goodbye, Mom. As hard as you tried, I survived and I will survive because now I'm surrounded by people that love me. I'm going to do good things in this world despite making me every sense of the word an orphan. Fitzpatrick said under the New York sentencing guidelines, Castor would have to serve just over 51 years before she became eligible for parole. At her age, effectively a life sentence. What a waste, man. All that just for some money? Thank you for joining in, Terry. Terry Piner. If you like what I'm doing right now, go ahead on and join both of my YouTube channels. They're both live. Joel Davis Media Network in Joel's crime stories. And follow me on TikTok as well, please. So here what happened after this. Castor was a New York Department of Corrections inmate number 09G0209. She was placed in Bedford Hills Correctional Facility for Women in Bedford Hills, New York. Even with credit for time served, her earliest possible release date was June 5th, 2055. That's slightly over a month shy of her 88th birthday. Now, on April 24th, 2009, on ABC, there was a 2-hour 2020 special about Castor and the trial, which included interviews during the trial. Castor had been dubbed the Black Widow by media outlets, a title previously given to Lynn Turner. Ashley said she does not know how her mother or any mother could try to kill her own child, a question that public has also pondered. Castor, who confessed to being shocked at the guilty verdict, maintained her innocence during her on-air 2020 special, as well as in unaired parts of the program. She said that Ashley brought this on and insists that she and Ashley know what really happened. Really? So you try to kill your daughter, and then you still trying to blame your daughter for your fuck up. Come on, lady. That's that jailhouse mentality today, boy. She did express sympathy for her daughter Bree. She called Bree an innocent victim, whom she lost along with her freedom and her husband's. She indicated that her mother's stepfather and some other relatives still support her. Bree, like Ashley, never spoke to Castor after the trial. Bree said that though losing her mother was hard, I was happy that they said she was guilty because we all know that she's guilty. Ashley said, I would have done anything for her, but she tried to kill me instead. Both of Castor's daughters expressed concern that their mother had not yet apologized to them. Castor maintains she innocent of the deaths of her husbands and the attempted murder of Ashley. Now, ABC interviewed a forensic psychiatrist, Dr. James Knoll, for psychological perspective on the case, and he answered viewers' questions via video on April 23rd, 2009. And via site comments on April 27, 2009, he stated that, like most suicide notes, focus on themes of remorse and the person not being able to go on with their life. The note, supposedly written by Ashley, was focused on taking the blame off Castor. He said that theme was repeated 14 times within the note, and that he believed Castor would never admit to guilt of the murders. The code of murderers such as these, he said, is deny, deny, deny until the bitter end. When asked if Castor's behavior and body language of the stand shows any sort of clue about her mental state and guilt, Noel reminded that body language and behavior can be affected by events during a trial, such as side effects of medications, anxiety, fatigue, and attorney instructions to the defendant on how to behave, and that their interpretation is not always reliable. That is true because you hear a lot of defense attorneys tell their clients, hey, man, this is how you act. Hey, man, this is what you need to do with them looking at you. Though Castor was not officially defined as a serial killer, it is likely that she would have killed again. Noel said that killers may have many different motivations. He described Castor as a Black Widow type rather than a typical serial killer. He described a Black Widow type as a woman who kills husbands or lovers for material gain, as opposed to typical serial killers, men who kills consecutively for sexual or sadistic motives. That's true. If you notice, all the women who have killed in this lifetime, it's always been about um, material gain. It's always been about insurance money, trying to get some property, or it's always been about trying to get insurance money and property. I've never heard of too many women killed just for sexual gratification or for sadism. Now, men on the other hand, they always kill most of the time for sexual gratification and sadism that are serial killers. You may have a few out there that are not into that. They just like to kill because they want some monetary gain, or they're trying to hide a secret about some monetary stuff they're stolen. He relayed that psychopathic traits and history of childhood abuse have been consistently reported in these women, and suggested that if Castor was guilty of the crimes of which she had been convicted and accused, then she would be demonstrating psychopathic traits, including regarding even her own child as an object to be used for her convenience. Now, Forensic Files had an episode titled "Freeze Framed" regarding Castor, in addition to the Turner and Castor antifreeze murder cases. Similar cases were reported in 2008. In 2002, a man had been convicted of murdering his wife by antifreeze in 1998. A letter she had written before her death incriminated him as the murderer. If she were to die eventually, the letter led to his prosecution. Series 6 Lies and Murder Series 2, Episode 3, as well as describing the events leading to the trial, including an interview with the district attorney in the case, who pointed out Castor may have murdered her own father, Jerry Daniels, who died 22nd of February 2002, shortly after his daughters visited him in the hospital where he had a minor lung complaint. Castor's first husband, family believed Castor may have killed her father, having brought an open can of soda in for her father to drink in the hospital. She was the executor of his estate. Now, don't you think that's a little weird that this lady is the executor of her father's estate and her mom's still alive? I mean, I'm just saying. Or he had family still alive. I don't know. That's a little weird to me. Castor was found dead in her cell on the morning of June 11th, 2016. It was not immediately apparent how she died, and the manner of her death was listed as undetermined. It was later determined by the DA office that Castor died of a heart attack, with no evidence of suicide or foul play. And there has been a Lifetime movie about her, and it aired in February the 1st on 2020, and the star was Nia Vardalos as Stacey Castor. So, guys, the moral of this story is that this lady was just damn greedy. Okay, she was. She just was greedy. She found a method that she thought was, bulletproof when her first husband, and whenever she found out there was not that much after she ran through probably monetary gain on that spending, because it was reported that she had excessive spending habits, she moved on to the next rich guy. And I got a feeling that with she being his office manager and these type of people that poison like this, I'm quite sure her and her husband was fussing about money, bills, and she was probably taking money out of his business. And he probably was tired of it. Not to mention, he's helping her raise a teenage daughter that don't want to listen to him. So I'm quite sure that she probably said to herself, "Screw this. He's worth more to me dead than alive." And she probably was on the verge of trying to hook up with the next guy. But with the police pressure all over her, she couldn't focus on her next mark. And that's why she wound up being where she is today, dead. If y'all like this story, please do me a favor. Go ahead and hit the like button. Also, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell up top. Please donate to the $5 challenge. Got all that in the description below. Follow me on my other platforms. Thank y'all for being a part of this. Please, guys, remember, if you feel like you with someone and you don't know who they really are, you getting second guesses about them, you need to do some research before you mess around and let them any closer to your inner circle. Or you could be like these guys, dead. That's all I got for you. Stay safe. I'm out.